M. Night Shyamalan's Signs is an interesting alien invasion picture which borrows heavily from films like The Day the Earth Stood Still and Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Speaking of Close Encounters, I got a heavy Spielberg vibe from the film as it completely approaches the alien invasion subject from a family angle. A family of farmers headed by Mel Gibson with 2 children and a brother who moved in after Gibson's wife's passing after a collision with a car. You really have to give the film credit for sticking with the family no matter how much it might frustrate some viewers. Everything we see is through Gibson's family. When the aliens land and terrible stuff begins to happen, as they usually do in these kind of movies, we have no idea out of what side the family hears on the radio or on the TV, what the status of the world is, how many people have died, what military action has been taken, etc. This can feel reclusive and claustrophobic, but actually adds to the tense atmosphere the film sometimes has, and it also gives the movie a more personal family feel. I didn't think the film was particularly scary. It felt tense at times and actually had some pretty good dry humour. I think of it as a kind of family horror film your dad might find flicking through the TV on a rainy Saturday night, and as it gets more and more interesting everyone starts sitting around the TV, kids and all. A similar feel then to Spielberg's ghost-directed Poltergeist. I admire and respect the film for not indulging in the obvious temptation of going crazy with the aliens. We don't see much of them, and by the time the film is finished we aren't even 100% sure why they even came, but because we see so little of the creatures, their appearances last longer in our heads. I can still vividly see that creepy shot of the Spanish birthday party where the alien appears walking past a bush, or a sinister claw reaching under a door towards the latter stages of the film. Many horror films jump the gun in the third act after building up tension so well in the first 2, but for the most part Signs refrains from doing so. The film is heavily invested in the idea of faith, and the main subplot which weaves into the main plot is that of the main character played by Mel Gibson losing his faith because of a terrible accident that killed his wife. It's not exactly really deep philosophy and does come off a bit as a little bit blunt and basic, but I suppose if you approach Signs as a family drama or family horror, then there's nothing wrong with that at all. I found the use of the camera to be quite interesting in the film. Sometimes I came to feel like during a particularly stimulating scene the camera might be focusing on the wrong thing. For example, if an alien appeared in the middle of the night and Gibson and Phoenix decide to chase it away, thinking it's a burglar, at one point the camera would be on them huffing and puffing, but then it might randomly switch to say a light bulb or a shot of one corner of the house for seemingly no reason. We'd still hear them huffing and puffing, but for some reason we'd just been instantly removed from the action and told to sit in a corner. It was quite weird and happened a few times. It didn't feel amateurish though, but purposeful. But I just don't know what the purpose was, since usually it only succeeded in snapping me out of the immersion. The one time it was used to great effect was in the film's climax scene set in the family basement. Here Shyamalan really flexed his muscles and toyed with us by having the alien jump out and start scuffling with the men, but the camera would refuse to show us what was going on, show us who was winning, instead focusing on the scared daughter watching the action unfold. Then someone would knock the light switch out, leaving us in limbo for a few nerve-wracking seconds. It was a terrific scene. By and large, the film boasts several terrific scenes. I do think, though, it did suffer pacing-wise. Some parts dragged and felt a little bit aimless. The entire film also has an odd aura of feeling like it was shot in slow motion. It's just that everything seems so slow and meandering. I can't say I was also the biggest fan of the alien design either. Granted, the film was made in 2002, but CGI monsters are really very scary. It's not a bad film, it's worth watching, but veterans of the alien genre will find little that is innovative or brings anything new to the table, but it is a decent film that I think the entire family can enjoy. I give it a 6 out of 10.